Good morning and happy Tuesday. I'm Gabe, the O-Scope Wizard. You have made it to the O-Scope Wizard Show. It has been quite a while, some might say a hot minute, since the last time I recorded, and I wanted to see if I could get back on the horse and still do it. So, we are in the middle of a project trying to build a wireless subwoofer for my driveway. And the last time we met, I was working on comparing digital filters and analog filters, and I think ultimately we decided probably a combination of both. Digital filters are super convenient, and analog filters work no matter what, so I think we're going to stagger them. But now. First of all, Tuesday, band shirt Tuesday usually. Today, rad shirt Tuesday. Rad dad right here. So I think that might be a dad joke right there. I'm trying to get back on the horse, using my buttons, making this thing interactive. So here is my wireless subwoofer so far. It's in a bucket, 5-gallon bucket. We have a subwoofer down there with a couple of wires to it, so I can run audio signals to these wires one day. But I need to figure out how to get audio signals to go from my amplifier, my main amplifier, my DIY Sonos style amplifier. If you haven't checked out those videos, please go back and watch me build that. I want to go from my DIY Sonos style amplifier to my wireless subwoofer just like you would in a Sonos system. And I was struggling with how to do that effectively. So if I tried Bluetooth, there is a really high chance that the audio would be out of sync. And if the audio is not perfectly synchronized, the subwoofer will not sound good. All of the bass will be slightly off kilter, potentially way off kilter, and that'll sound terrible. So how to synchronize it? One of the ideas I had was to actually build a custom radio system based on some Featherlight radios, and that seemed fantastical and maybe a little bit beyond my skill set and also overly complicated. So I thought I would kind of go back to the drawing board and explore some of my options that are already out there and just need to be activated or, integrated. So here is my DIY Sonos style amplifier. I have it in the lab today because I want to make some changes to it. And this is where the next section begins. I currently, on this amplifier, I have a Raspberry Pi in here. If I pull the top off, we can take a look at it. Let's get the camera to follow me, because real pros have the cameras follow them, I hear. So inside of this fantastical setup, I have a Raspberry Pi, and this Raspberry Pi is currently running an operating system called Mood Audio, Mood, M-O-O-D-E audio, and I did a whole shakedown, which I probably should do again, comparing different Raspberry Pi audio operating systems. I chose Mood Audio because it offered Bluetooth connectivity. It also offered AirPlay built in and Spotify integration, so everything was just out of the box working. It works great. And I even have it integrated with my volume controller here, so I wrote some custom Python scripting to make my volume controller work, and that ended up being a little bit more challenging than I thought it would be because we had to add these digital potentiometers coming from my relay system. Anyway, it's a very complicated, somewhat simple. I would describe it as simple complicated. Does that make sense? That might be kind of a fail there. System. I would think of it as simple. Most of my normal friends would probably look at this and say, that is a hot mess. So what that means is I am going to experiment. Actually, what that means is we need to change a little bit of this because I want to try a different operating system. And let me share a monitor. So right now we're running Mood Audio, which has worked great for me. But I want to pivot a little bit and explore using the Logitech Media Server. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. I'll have a link to this wiki page in my description so that you can go and look at it. But what this does is allow you to distribute audio to different sources from a central server, and those sources are all going to be synchronized. Exactly. So you could set up multi-room independent speakers just like a Sonos system, and everything stays time aligned and locked in. So it sounds great. It sounds perfect. But if you go, so I can't believe I didn't start here. I mean, this is not a new project. If you look at this, this has been around so long that Logitech, who bought Slim devices, no longer makes any of this stuff. So all of this is kind of like turned over to the DIY hacker makerspace, and they are continuing the development. Everything's released and to the public space. It's free software now. Hopefully the development keeps going from the hacker community because it's awesome. And oh man, here's the date I was looking for. This thing was discontinued back in 2012, so it has been a sweet forever since Logitech actually made anything for it. And now everybody runs this stuff on Raspberry Pis and little microcontrollers like Arduino style ESP32 microcontrollers. But I want to try setting up a Logitech Media Server, or an LMS, and sending that out to a Squeezebox clone. So the Squeezebox is like the speaker end, and the LMS, the server, is the thing that actually sends the audio stream out to it. And Mood Audio has a plugin to be a Squeezebox, so a speaker end of things, but it doesn't automatically become a media server. And I want, if I can go back here, I think I want this amplifier that is sitting on the shelf in my garage to be the actual server. That's what I think I want right now. I mean, I may change my mind, and we may, change it up a little bit, but I think I want that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? What I forgot to do was actually start my timer. So let's start a timer so that I stay on track and I don't ramble too much. But I want this amplifier to be my server, and I want it to send audio wirelessly to my subwoofer. That is what I think I want. And I also want the amplifier, obviously, to still play audio like it normally does. It does it very well, and it sounds great in the driveway. I just want that bottom in, and kind of just want to explore, like, how would you put all this together? So when I go to the Mood Audio forums, instructions on how to install the Logitech Media Server on your Mood OS. I mean, Mood OS is a flavor of Debian, so it's really easy to install services that have basic installers for the Debian Linux operating system. But down here at the bottom, Mr. Tim Curtis, the Mood Audio founder and forum moderator, and also banner of the Oscope Wizard from the forums. I'm no longer allowed on the forums for whatever reason. He says, this is pointless. Just install a dedicated player like picoreplayer that has built-in support for both being a squeeze box or a speaker end and a server. So it has everything built in. So hey, if the guy who made the OS says use a different OS, maybe we should take his advice. And that takes me over to this page, the picoreplayer, a complete audio system. And you have a couple of different options, and we're going to try to set one of them up today on this tiny Raspberry Pi Zero. You know, I love these Raspberry Pis. This is my tiny little Raspberry Pi Zero, and we're going to see if we can set up um, the Pi Core player on this guy. And one of the other cool things about the Pi Core player is that it is based on Tiny Core Linux. So Tiny Core Linux, look, it's tiny. It's in the name. Is that a pun? Are we supposed to laugh? I think we are supposed to laugh there. Tiny Core Linux uses hardly any space. And the other thing that it does is boot up really fast, which will be cool because I want my wireless subwoofer to boot up very fast. So I think what I'm going to do is install Pi Core Player on this Raspberry Pi to be the squeeze box or the speaker. And I'm also going to install Pi Core Player on my amplifier board. So this is going to cause some other problems, like my volume knob will no longer work, my LEDs will no longer work. So we'll need to figure out how to re-architect our main amplifier. And then I want to be able to send audio from this guy, this Raspberry Pi Zero, wirelessly and synchronized. And ultimately, this Raspberry Pi Zero will be hooked up to my subwoofer in a bucket. And everything should work and sound great. So that's my plan. That's how we're laying it out, making sure we're still on track. Yes, we're still on track. So now what to download? I need to download this audio system. So I'm going to hit downloads. Let's see how easy it is. And I have a couple of versions. So first of all, do not install the real-time kernel, which I was not planning on doing. But I would like to install, I guess, the latest version of Pi Core Player. And maybe we'll read a little bit more. So this includes support for the Raspberry Pi 400 and CM4, which is way beyond what I have. I think I have a 0WH here. Is that right? 0W, Pi 0W. And this is the Raspberry Pi, I think that's the Model A. Is that right? Is that right? I can't remember now. It is the square Raspberry Pi. But one of my questions is, do I need the 64-bit version or 32-bit version? RPI 0, 64-bit. So let's see. What are we working with? I want to know. This is how I operate. Can we tell if something is 64-bit or 32-bit? These guys are 64-bit. They're all pretty much using, I mean, if the Raspberry Pi 2 was 64-bit, all these guys are going to be built off some version of this ARM processor that is all 64-bit. Let's see also, which Raspberry Pi do I have? I think it is the Raspberry Pi 3 Model A+. That's what this square thing is. You know what, you guys? Follow along here. Follow along with me. Here we go. This is what we're looking at. The Raspberry Pi Zero is going to be 64-bit, so, and also the Raspberry Pi 3A is going to be 64. They're all 64-bit, right? So let's download the 64-bit version of this Pi Core Player. Look at this. It is 37 megabytes. How much was the Mood audio player? Let me see. Mood is gigantic. Let's just hit download 7.3. It is 1.4 gigabytes. What? So what? The Pi Core player is 30. Let's bring this over here. The Pi Core player is Hold on, downloads. Let's see if we can show you my monitor. And we can. Picoreplayer is 38 megabytes. That is very small. That is very small. So hopefully that means it'll boot up really quickly. And also, I hope it's not kind of a a nightmare to set up. Okay, so next step, let's get over here and open up Etcher. We need to burn this file to a tiny itty bitty SD card. So here's my tiny itty bitty SD card. It probably won't focus unless I point at it. There we go, right there. Focus. Never mind. It's not gonna do it. It's not gonna do it, but that's okay because I don't need it to focus. I just need it to burn to this SD card. So I'm gonna burn this to the SD card. 38 megabytes versus 1.4 gigabytes. That is tiny, tiny. So let's flash from file, pick my file here. It just picked my USB drive, and okay, let's see if we can flash it. All right, we gotta tell it it's okay. It's okay. Okay, look at this. When it's expanded, it is 138 megabytes, so it's pretty small anyway. One of the things I was thinking about trying was this Belina sound, which says it does multi-room audio streaming via Bluetooth, AirPlay, or Spotify Connect to any old speakers or hi-fi. But I don't know. One of the things is a lot of these OSs will do multi-room sound, but it's not necessarily multi-room synchronized sound. Does that make any sense? So yeah, you can get sound in a bunch of rooms, but it's not all kind of locked together as you need it to be. Okay. Into the Raspberry Pi here. Let's see. Into the Raspberry Pi, we will insert our disk. So now we have the SD card into the Raspberry Pi. And I want to go back over here. I'm going to move this out of the way for a second. So let's get you out of the way. Power down. Plug my amplifier board. And now power in. And I bought a starter kit, so it came with a power adapter, and it also came with this handy adapter, so I can get a keyboard plugged in to my Raspberry Pi. And it also came with this handy adapter, so I can get this USB mini connector out to, or sorry, this HDMI mini connector out to a regular HDMI adapter cable. Let's move that camera a little closer and plug my HDMI adapter in. Plug this into the USB section and get my HDMI cable. I believe I am capturing. Find out shortly whether I am or not. And I need my tiny little keyboard and mouse. And I think my tiny little keyboard and mouse is in my book bag. Yes. Tiny little keyboard and mouse, tiny little keyboard and mouse. These little guys I found these super handy. I use this little keyboard and mouse combo all the time. All the time. It's got a little touchpad and all the keys. You can keep it in your bag. It's wireless. Has a long battery life. I hope it's working. We'll find out. We will find out whether or not the battery life has been pushed beyond its limits. Now, let's switch over to my HDMI capture and see if I'm actually capturing anything. Ugh. Okay. We have, oh, we are capturing. We are capturing. Yes. Yes. This is amazing. I will admit, I did not think that, I did not think this would work right out of the gate. I thought I was going to have to do some editing on the back end to make the movie magic, but I think it may have worked. Now we just have to let this boot up. So the Raspberry Pi Zero itself is pretty slow. But picoreplayer is pretty tiny. So hopefully a tiny, kind of low resource operating system will, partner well with this little Raspberry Pi. Okay. The Oscope Wizard made a bit of a mistake. It turns out the picoreplayer on the Raspberry Pi Zero, it wants the 32-bit version. I tried the 64-bit version and, no dice, even though we're running a 64-bit processor. So, I downloaded the 32-bit version, also tiny, expanded 138 megabytes, and now it is actually installed. I need to get it plugged in. And let's see, waiting. Okay, so it's expanding onto the disk. And once it gets done expanding, we should have a fully installed operating system, which honestly should take about probably 2 or 3 minutes to get up and running, as long as you download and install the correct version. So, oh my goodness. That's a fail. You know how you grab the wrong knob. You think you got the right knob, but you grabbed the wrong knob. Let's see. What are we at now? Oh, okay. Okay, it is installed. It is just doing the initial bring up. I wonder, so it failed to find headphones, which is fair because the Raspberry Pi Zero doesn't have a headphone jack. And let's see. Oh, it finished the initial setup and it's trying to sync to the internet, which it will not be able to do because we have not actually set up the internet connection. Can we get there and set up the internet connection? That is a great question. Right. Let's go to the instructions. There's actually instructions on the page, which perhaps we should take a really quick look at. We open back up the monitor. On the getting started, so we downloaded it, we created the SD card, we booted the picoreplayer. Oh my goodness, okay. We booted the picoreplayer. We're getting to the end here. 5
minutes remaining!
Just a few minutes remaining on this particular video, and then you know what? There'll be a follow-on as we continue to get this picoreplayer set up so that we can do multi-room synchronized audio, very important. So after the boot, a squeeze light player should appear in your Logitech Media service called picoreplayer. But I don't have a an LMS set up yet, and also we need to get this onto my Wi-Fi. which doesn't seem, that doesn't seem too bad. Can I do it directly onto picoreplayer? Let's see, some players do not have a headphone jack. Mine does not have a headphone jack. So how to set up Wi-Fi? Insert the Wi-Fi adapter. Go through the Wi-Fi settings. I don't set up Wi-Fi without Ethernet. Okay, how do we do this? Okay, I need to edit the WPA supplicant file, which, let's see, where is the supplicant file? On this animal. Let me see if I can, find the supplicant file on this guy. Where is it on the PyCore? So if I go back over to my HDMI, let's see, ls, I need to make this a little bit bigger so that I can actually see it. I mean, you guys should be able to see it just fine, but can I see it? That's the question. Not there. So let's do cd ... ls. It seems like it might be in, is it in etc.? Let's see, cd etc ls. Do I have my WPA supplicant? I'm not sure, so I might have to do a little bit of Googling to find the WPA supplicant on the PyCore player. So let's see if it gives me just a does it give me on the Pi itself the place where it is? /var/run. Let's see if that's where it is. Would that make sense? Let's see. cd /var. Does that work? Yep. /run. Enter ls. Oh, not there. Not there. Ah! I guess we'll find it. Let me, I want to find it right now, really quickly. Can I find it? PyCore player WPA supplicant location. That makes sense. Okay, this is a sample file. Where does it go? Where does it go? Where do you put it? What if you're too dumb to know where to put it? I am not sure where to put it in TinyCore Linux. Oh, there. Okay, that's where it used to go. That's why I went to etc. You see this? So in a normal Debian-based Linux, it is in etc. /WPA _ supplicant /WPA _ supplicant conf list about TinyCore Linux WPA supplicant. Where is it? Where is it? WPA supplicant. Okay, it's still in /etc. Okay, so you know what? It looks like it is in the same place, and I just need to make one. So that's fair. I guess on the next episode, I will have this thing, this Raspberry Pi, connected to my Wi-Fi, and I will also install the picoreplayer on my amplifier, and I will set up a Logitech media service. And we'll go into how to configure both of those and maybe get audio going into both things. We'll see. That feels like a lot to do in one episode. We might not get it all done, but that's my plan. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for about half an hour, nerding out, trying new things, and hopefully, eventually, we will have a wireless subwoofer that works with my DIY Sonos style amplifier, and I can finally get that boom in the driveway that I know all of my neighbors are looking forward to. I don't know all the nerds in the world, but I would love to meet them, so please share this with a nerd in your life, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!